All right, there it is. Hit the button. So we're live.
All right.
All right, guys. We are live right now with Buckshot. I'm going to let people start rolling in until I start seeing some of the numbers come up. And then we're going to get right into it.
I'll be right back. I'm going to grab something right next to me.
Sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. There we go. So, brother, Buck just had to go grab something to drink or something. So he'll be back very shortly. There he is.
Now, there was something
All
I was
right.
going to do, everybody, but I don't have it down here, so I'm not.
Okay. All right. Yep. All right. All right, dwellers. In this installment of Face to Face tonight, I've got the CEO of Mob Style Music, the king of collabs, Buckshot,
What up?
aka Buck Norris. How's it going tonight, Buck?
In the flesh. Now, what's up? Happy New Year, everybody. It's,
Yeah, we're kicking off the new year right.
yeah.
So normally with these, I like to kind of go into the background and kind of figure out, talk about your come up and everything. But we've got your new album coming out soon, so I kind of want to lead with that. Double Dragon with Kung Fu Vampire. This has kind of been like a kind of long fabled album, I guess. Kind of like it's been gestating for a little while, I guess is the right words for it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. We originally announced it. It was actually announced the weekend of the gathering of the Juggalos in 2019 was originally when like actually the way it was done, we actually had flyers that were made, and that's kind of like it was like more like a surprise, that we did with flyers that year at the gathering. Kung Fu actually performed that year, and I actually came out to the gathering with Tech. Uh it, it was so close to my house. I actually came out and rolled with Tech that year, but Kung Fu Vampire performed, and so we just, him and I had talked about doing a project. So we thought, to have so many fans and juggalos amassed together at the gathering, that was like kind of like a perfect jump off spot to, kind of like announce it.
yeah, yeah. I think you posted that picture of you and Kung Fu, and that was kind of when everybody else kind of knew that it was going to happen.
Right.
Yeah. So how did that come about to start with? I know like I kind of want to talk about this later, but you do a lot of collabs, more than most people do, I think. And so how did
Yeah.
this one kind of come about really?
Well, I think one of the reasons why I do a lot of collabs, I'm like, I'm a very personable person. So like when I work with an artist, like a majority of the artists I work with, like it's not just business. Like we're friends, in real life. Like we talk on the phone and just shoot the shit, about music, movies, just life, everything. And naturally when two artists connect in life, just I can't tell you how many, different artists back and forth that, we're just like, hey, we should do something together. Like let's do a project. I mean, I can do solo projects all day long, by myself. I can, majority of my Helter Skelter albums, there's hardly any features on them. I can stand on my own 2 feet, but it's very fun working, with other artists that I consider allies, or I mean, I'm fans of. Like I'm a fan of Kung Fu Vampire. I'm a fan of Boondocks. I'm fans with a lot of these people. Before I knew them, I was fans. Before I knew Kung Fu, I was a fan of Kung Fu. So, but we just the growth. Him and I. We've done several songs together, and I believe the way it started one day, I said something. It was kind of more or less like a joke. I don't remember what it was, but I just like tweeted something to the effect. I was like, it was something like we were going to announce me and Kung Fu's new album together. Kung Fu and I had never talked about doing a project together ever. It was just, I just like said it, it was just like a joke.
to build hype, kind of, to be like, hey, Kung Fu, maybe we should do something together, kind
Well,
of thing.
got a lot of traction, and then like one day out of the blue, not too long after it, Kung Fu just like hit me with a text. He was like, "We should do a project together," and I was like, "Let's do it." And we just kind of like bounced ideas off each other, and then so it was all history from there.
So that's how you kind of came up with the Double Dragon concept as well. It was just kind of,
well, the whole Double Dragon concept. I'm a huge fan of the 80s, and obviously everybody knows Kung Fu's love for the 80s, and Double Dragon was a a huge part of like pop culture with video games. I'm a big gamer myself, and like Double Dragon was just the idea of like two people fighting for the same cause. And I just hit Kung Fu up and was like, bro, like I got a super dope idea, because we were just like, we're going to do a project together. We didn't really have a basis behind it, but him and I both respect each other's craft and what we do for music and for the underground. But then I was just like, dude, like Double Dragon's like from the 80s, and just the whole vibe of it. And he was just like, dude, that's it. He was a huge, obviously he's a huge fan of martial arts and video games and like 80s shit. It was just kind of like meant to happen. So
yeah, it's really on theme for both of you guys, really.
Yeah. And so we obviously surprised everybody with the album cover. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek, the whole Buck Norris character was just kind of
yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later.
right. But so yeah, we just we shocked everybody on on different levels yesterday. So but yeah, so and just we put together a super dope project, and here we are now.
And you also you kind of punked everybody with the fake COVID, the fake COVID pushback. Because I remember reading it and I was like, I think the date that you pushed back was like July, and I'm like, man, that's a long ways to push an album back.
Yeah. I had a lot of homies hitting me up, like they were like, what happened? Like, did Nintendo give you a cease and desist? And we were just having fun with everybody. I mean, we originally said when we announced, we said that the pre-orders were coming out January 1st, in which they did. But it was literally like a last minute decision. I was like, you know what? We should mess with everybody. 2020 has been such a shitty year. We were like, let's announce, like there's an announcement at midnight. Like we never said tonight we're announcing pre-orders. We literally just like said midnight and
you even put out the little tweets like 24 hours to go, like get ready guys.
and like we just like said midnight and put like the 2 dragon emojis, but we never like said within a couple days like the pre-orders are going live at midnight. We just said midnight. And then we had that little advertisement made basically saying it's pushed back 6 months, which if anybody has, I mean, there was a lot of people that they didn't fall for it. They were like, hold on, like you just announced 6 hours ago you have an announcement at midnight. Now you're saying at midnight like it's not coming out for 6 months. So what was it? What could have happened that was so bad it's pushed back 6 months?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, that's a long time to push an album back.
Yeah. Put out like a little cryptic tweet like at 3 a.m. 3 hours later that if anybody was a Lord of the Rings fan, they totally got what I was saying. But I did like the tweet, and then we dropped the pre-order 12 hours later at noon the next day. Well, we could have done it at midnight, but we were just trying to have fun with everybody.
That was something else I want to talk about, because like all like your merch game is like crazy. Like it's on point for sure. Like the stuff that you put on is like it's really insane. Like I know you're like the pre-order bundle for Double Dragon, the big bundle is like it's got that little like Nintendo stash box or whatever it is that
right.
Yeah. It's like
that actually.
You what was that?
People are tripping about that,
Oh,
by the way.
yeah, that was the one thing I saw in that in the jersey. You do a lot of jerseys too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, where does that like that merch game like I don't know inspiration or drive come from? Because there are a couple people that do it right, and you're definitely one of them.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, you got to think like, I see like the hate online, like, all Buckshot he can't do any original idea. Like he's got to use Transformers or like Star Wars. I mean, the whole thing I can do. And I've done a ton of original stuff that has nothing to do with, the like the Nintendo gimmick. But the whole thing is, if people like really know me and know my music and know me as a person, they know like I'm a super huge 80s toy collector. Like, dude, like this whole place, it's full of Star Wars toys, Transformers, GI Joe. Like I'm into that shit. I'm a huge gamer, since the beginning, like Nintendo. I mean, I've owned every single Nintendo system. Like that's nostalgia. Like I love nostalgia. Anything to do with video games or pop culture. Like I'm into the majority of the shit that a lot of juggalos and a lot of fans of the underground music culture. Like I'm a fan of this shit, and like half the reason I do it is for me. Like it's not even like me and Kung Fu, we could just put out an album, not even call it Double Dragon. We could just call it Buckshot and Kung Fu Vampire and just whatever, Creatures of the Night.
It would
we
sell just as good. You know what I mean? It would sell
and we
just as good. It's like
right, we could
it just makes sense that you take something that you love and kind of put your own spin on it. Like
right,
that's
because
what you're
we
doing.
love Nintendo, and we know fans out there like love that kind of stuff. So we're fans of it. So it's not a selling point. I mean, it might help to an extent, but but we're just doing we're trying to have fun with what we do, and we're trying to make collecting fun. Because I see a lot of people out there, and I'm not pointing fingers or saying any names, but there's a lot of people who just drop regular shit, and to me it's just boring. Like they just have a picture of them standing in front of a car, or like in front of a just whatever, and it's like that's boring to me. I mean, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna take the time and money to put out a CD, make it fucking cool. You know what I'm saying? Don't just like I just like putting my own creative twist and doing like you would be surprised how many Easter eggs are hidden in artwork that we do. Like we don't even talk about it. Like if you saw it, if you found it, good for you. But like we don't even tell people. Sometimes you got to take a CD apart, look behind a tray, or like you'd be surprised like the little Easter eggs that we had. There's images hidden on merch that we like. I don't think I've ever even heard somebody to this day say, "Hey, I saw what you did on that hoodie." Like there's things hidden on stuff no one's ever even seen yet. And like I do things all the time. My artwork guy Derek, which shout out my homie Derek Melvin, man. He's Mob Styles creative force. Derek's been with me for 2 years, and everything that you've seen mob style music, hoodies, artwork, whatever, like Derek's done everything. And
I was going to ask who does all your like illustrations and artwork because it's really good.
well, now
It's
like
actually I
eight
was going
legs.
to say it's actually a little yeah, I was going to say 8 legs. Yeah.
Now like Derek's not he doesn't actually draw a lot of the illustrations, but like he puts everything together, and he makes it what it is. But Derek and I together, we sit down, and I always come up with the ideas. Majority of the times he does a lot of shit on his own too. That's Derek's great at what he does. But we come up with a lot of cool ideas, and he's like the only person that I'll be like, hey, I want you to hide this here, or hide this, hide like a logo, or some kind of something cool in the artwork that we don't tell anybody. It's just if the fans notice it, they notice it, and if not, you'd be smart to go back and look through some of your CDs or your merch, and you'll find hidden things in the artwork that you never knew were there. So we just try to make collecting fun.
Yeah, little Easter eggs here and there.
For sure.
I guess since we're talking about kind of like that, like kind of like your love for the 80s stuff, it's like you have an interesting dichotomy of like styles that you do, because you'll have a project like Paradigm Shift where you're doing like Transformer stuff, Double Dragon, but then you also have something like Hell's Kitchen where you're doing like straight gangster stuff. You know, is that kind of like a callback to like your old style compared to what you're doing now, or is it just like, you know, a love for both, or it's just kind of an interesting mix, I guess?
You know, when me and Dirty, when we did Hell's Kitchen, I mean, obviously, you know, Dirty and I have a good history of doing a lot of music together, but the whole thing, you know, like I ended up doing a song called Wilson Fisk, which, you know, is obviously a Kingpin, you know, from the Daredevil universe. And then, you know, like Boondocks did, you know, he came out with his Turncoat Dirty EP, and he had that song called Frank Castle. So it was just one of those things that just kind of like fell together. You know, I was like, hey, we should just do like this little project, you know, with like, mainly it was like, you know, other people's tracks, kind of like a mix CD type thing, but we use like some of the shit like we came up on, like, you know, Dr. Dre and Hill tracks and whatnot. And you know, we had a couple original tracks on it, but that's just kind of like our love for like what we came up on, you know, like putting some of those old, you know, 90s gangster rap beats. And you know, so that's where that came from.
Yeah, you know, it's, you kind of brought up Boondocks, and like I'm kind of interested about like your friendship with Boondocks, because like, I mean, every time I've met him, he seems like a very reserved, quiet guy, and yet you guys seem to have like this really good friendship. Like, how did you kind of get to know Boondocks?
Well, you know, Dirty actually, you know, beside the music, I mean, you know, Dirty's a big toy collector too, and we watch a lot of the same shows. We watch, or you know, we collect a lot of the same toys, into the same movies. So naturally, you know, just having that background by itself, you know, Dirty and I became really good friends. And, you know, like most of the time we talk, it's not even about music. You know, we're talking about, hey, you know, we'll get on the phone and talk about like Mandalorian or Game of Thrones, or, you know, whatever shows or movies are out. We'll get on the phone and, you know, talk about theories and, you know, just our love for, you know, pop culture in general, movies or, you know, music or anything. And, Dirty, you know, he's into a lot of the stuff that I'm into. So naturally, you know, we clicked on that level.
Yeah, because you guys do a lot of music together. And so when did you actually first meet him? I imagine it was probably before like Underground Avengers, correct?
Yeah, it was before Underground Avengers.
I mean, obviously because you're with him, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of started out. I think it was the first time when I had met Dirty. I think this was the first time that he had left Psychopathic. He was already off the label, and and him and I just kind of like connected through social media, and we talked about doing some stuff together, but which ended up leading, you know, the first thing we did together was Underground Avengers. So,
How did you guys link up with Class then?
It was like a situation like, you know, Class and I had been talking like through social media, and you know, we connected through social, and Class and I had talked about doing a project or doing something together, like for the, you know, the gathering was coming up. And then me and Dirty were talking about doing something together. So then, you know, I was just like, asked Dirty, like, what do you think about if like just all three of us did something together? And then, you know, talk to Class, and then you know, so it just kind of went from there. You know, it was just kind of like, yeah, let's do something together. And, you know, that's kind of where it went.
You guys working on anything new for Underground Avengers anytime soon?
No, nothing in the works, or everybody's been busy, doing their own solo records.
Yeah.
Dirty just dropped Crimson Crow.
Yep.
Came out a couple of weeks ago, which if people haven't heard it, it's a super dope project. I was fortunate, he asked me to get on it, which we got that Red October song with Stevie Stone that turned out really, really dope. And so Dirty is he's doing that. Just dropped that, and I believe I don't know what I'm allowed to talk about or not, but I know
Yeah.
something else new, like his own, nothing to do with me. He's working on something. And then, Class just came out with his Revenge 3 EP, which just came out yesterday. And I'm actually part of that project as well. We did a song together. Did a song together on there that turned out really dope. So, Class is doing his thing, and Boondocks is doing his thing. And, I'm over here. I've got so much stuff planned for this year. I wish I could talk about it all right now, but I've got some stuff that's it's gonna blow everybody's minds. I've got some awesome stuff coming this year. And originally Double Dragon, we were gonna drop Double Dragon in October, and there was so much stuff dropping.
I was just about to say there's so much that came out in October.
It's really so good of a project. Kung Fu and I just didn't want it to get lost in the mix. And, there was so much. I mean, Al Azul dropped, Twisted dropped multiple projects.
Blaze with Cadaver.
Yeah, Blaze. Psychopathic said they were dropping, a project on Christmas. Boondocks was dropping. Everybody, everybody, was just dropping projects left and right. And that's awesome. That's awesome for the underground. And, originally we were going to do Double Dragon for October, but just, I hit Kung Fu up and I was like, man, this project is so good. Not that we felt like we were competing with other people, but there was just so much out there. We just agreed to push it back to let everything die down, because, even as a fan, you can only listen to so much music a day. And
I'm still catching up, man.
Still projects, CDs that I've bought from artists, that I'm into and I love, but I haven't, I've been so busy recording, that I haven't had time to listen to everything. But there was so much stuff that's dropped. I haven't had time to listen to it all. So, perfect example. And I'm glad that we did decide to wait till now to drop it, because, everything is slowly dying down, but just, it was like every week there was something coming out, and it was just I couldn't keep up with everything.
Yeah, I think that part of that had to do with the COVID stuff. People had to, because people can't tour, so they got to make money somehow. You know what I mean? So they're kind of trying to drop as much merch and as much things as possible. How much did that affect your workflow? Everything that's happening with the pandemic and everything.
Actually, it sucked. I love performing, and performing does bring in revenue and it brings in fans. But I'm fortunate to say, I know a lot of people had a shitty 2020, because for many aspects it was shitty. But I'm just very blessed that 2020 for mob style music and Bukshot was probably one of my best years. I dropped a lot of stuff, a lot of singles and a lot of key merch. But I will say too that a lot of people don't realize that I do a lot of merch for a lot of other groups and artists, big people that I'm not even going to name drop right now, but my friends and homies know who I do stuff for, and it's pretty damn big. The word's gotten out there. People see the quality of merch that I put out, and I've had a lot of big artists, come at me like, "Hey man, who does your stuff?" And I've got some really good connections, so I've done a lot of merch for a lot of big groups and artists that's not even in our genre, in our underground. They're bigger, and So, 2020 was, like I said, I'm very blessed that 2020 didn't affect me like it could have, you
Yeah.
know. And so I just, I kept my chin up, looked straight ahead, and just been working, recording and writing, and I've got a lot of projects dropping this year. It 2021 will be my biggest and busiest year to date. So there's a lot of cool shit, going down this year.
Yeah, I guess if we go back to like the kind of when everything started happening, like how exactly were you approached to do NetFest? Like, was that originally supposed to be, were you originally approached to do like a performance, or like, how was that original conversation?
NetFest, I don't remember if it was Chuck or George, because I talked to both of them. George over at M&E, man. George is my homie, man. I've been fucking with George since his days at Psychopathic, and George is a good dude, and I do a lot of work with George, and Chuck's the homie too. But like I said, I was talking to both of them a lot during that period, but basically I was contacted, and they said, would you like to do something for NetFest? And at the time I wasn't into the whole idea of like performing. Like, I know that was still new for everybody, like performing in front of no fans.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just to me, like everybody's been pulling it off, and that's cool, but it's still weird to me.
Yeah,
But
it's funny. I asked Lee Carver about that last time I had him on the show, and
yeah,
he said, I do music for the underground. I'm used to performing in front of nobody.
no, I get that. But like I said, it's just weird. So I was like, I'm down to do something for it, but I was like, I'm just not really interested in like doing a performance. But I was like, I had this whole Buck Norris character has been in my back pocket for a while, and the Buck Norris is something I've planned on doing, but I was like, you know what, I should pull Buck Norris out for NetFest, and surprisingly, like, it just like went over like really, really big. We figured it would be cool, but it went over a lot bigger than I thought it was going to. So
Yeah, it was like the highlight. In my opinion, it was like the highlight of NetFest. It
that's
was
all.
you, it was Buck Norris, and it was the appearance of Alex Abyss, which we don't really have to get into, but like I almost fell out of my seat when I saw Alex Abyss for the first time, because we hadn't seen him for like 20 years.
Right.
But yeah, so you did that, and then you also you actually did do a concert during all this, because you did like your Halloween show, correct?
Yeah, we actually did on Halloween here in Louisville. We did Hollow Bleed, which it was, it's the first annual. We're going to start doing Hollow Bleed every year, but it was the first one, and it was super successful. It was I don't know, there was probably 130 people, 140 people who turned out for it, and
Which is good, because you have to keep in mind that they had to keep within COVID standards, so there had to be.
oh yeah, no,
You
we
can
had
only
to do
let in
COVID.
so many people.
We had to do COVID standards, and people wore masks, and I mean it was a good cool time, and it was on Halloween. It was almost last minute. There were actually a lot of people who traveled from out of state, to come see it, but it was a good time, so I was blessed. I was able to perform and get a performance in, before the year was over. But it obviously the whole state of just how the country is right now with the COVID, and just the whole thing's just sucked. Obviously,
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see a change for the better, where we see like the COVID numbers going down heavily. Hopefully with this, hopefully the vaccines make a big difference, and hopefully people keep practicing social distancing and doing what they have to do, to help make this thing go away.
Yeah, I've known a couple people that have put on shows, like you did, and they've all been really successful. They've had no cases from it and everything else. And like you said with your show, like people have been fiending for shows, so when they have a chance to go to one, they're gonna try and make it.
Right. Yeah, Hollow Bleed was a really good time though. I'm glad it was successful. Glad everybody had a good time, and I didn't hear of anybody from after that getting sick or anything. So, it was cool.
Well, so I guess how you were approached with NetFest. I'm curious about like how you were approached to do Riders, because that was one of those projects where everybody associated with MNE was on that album. And so
Right.
you're hearing it, and then all of a sudden you hear Dustin, and you're like, what? And then when I heard you, I was like, what? It was just like a constant surprise of who was
Right.
on there. How were you approached about that one?
George hit me up and was like, hey, we got this Riders project, and he just said, he said Jamie told me to reach out to you, and do you have any ideas or any tracks, just an idea for it? And I believe I forgot the name, what they called it, but one of the tracks I sent to them, and George was just like, yeah, Jamie loved it, like, let's do that. So basically I did I sent them a beat and sent them one of the tracks, and then George sent it back. I think it had Jamie and Paul was already on it, but basically I recorded three features for Riders, and for some reason, I don't know if it got lost in the shuffle, but one of the songs that I did a verse for didn't show up on the album, and George didn't even know about it. It was the song that had, it was I'm a Rider, song that had everybody on it. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure there was just so much going on. It was actually a really cool verse, but I just think it just kind of got overlooked. There were so many people on it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel snubbed or anything. Shit just happens sometimes. But
like you said, with so many people on that album, and trying to give everybody a little bit of shine,
Right. But no, I thought that project turned out really dope, and I thought it was cool. They reached out to me to do it. So
yeah, I mean, I had kind of zero expectations for that album before it came out. And when I heard it, I was like, whoa, it was way, way, way better than I could have expected. You didn't have any apprehension about doing it? I know a lot of fans were like, oh, doing Riders, but you didn't have any apprehension about that at all?
No, man. I mean, it was, I thought it was a cool idea personally, but, I mean, everybody, it does, what I've learned doing music and doing music with all the people that I've done it with, you can't go into this worried about who you're going to piss off. Because no matter what you say or no matter what you do, you're going to piss somebody off.
Especially in today's day and age.
Yeah. So it's if I go into any decision period, anything, if I have to sit here and think, well, if I do this, who am I going to upset? I'm not tiptoeing around everybody's feelings. People are way more sensitive now than they were 5 years ago. I don't mean just about music. I mean just in life.
Yeah.
You get online and you see, people crying about, I saw a child's toy in the toy section that was inappropriate, and just people are on some other shit, man.
Yeah.
So you can't go into, no matter what you do, you could pick any song, any album I've done, somebody's going to have a bone to pick with something I've said, or so my whole outlook, I don't give a fuck about tiptoeing around anybody's feelings. I do music for the people who fuck with me, not for the people who don't fuck with me. So when I do a song, I'm doing it for my fans and the people that I know are going to fuck with. I don't care about appeasing to people who are going to criticize me or the people who don't fuck with me to begin with. Fuck them.
Yeah, they're not going to listen to the music anyway, so what's the point?
Right. So, so you just got to do what makes you happy. And, and that's what I do. I make decisions for myself, not make decisions who am I going to upset in the process?
Because today you're gonna upset people no matter what you do. Like you were just saying, like we started this interview out, Double Dragon. People, being upset that you use Double Dragon or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. People are gonna find something to be upset about. Oh, you tricked us about the release date. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, there were people upset about that. Like I saw comments, people were like, "Oh, they were dicks for doing that." I mean, I'm sorry we played a joke on everybody for 12 hours.
Jeez. It's so funny. But like you're saying, it's just the way it is now. It's kind of...
Yeah. Everybody's sensitive.
Yeah. And the problem is a lot of people are bending over for it though, too, and it's like this real quiet, it's like this silent, or it's like this, loud minority, you know what I mean, of people that just get upset about something.
Yeah. Like, the whole cancel culture and
yeah,
like if, there's, I mean, I understand there are certain things that if you cross that line, like pedophilia,
yeah,
you cross that line. I mean, you gotta pay the piper. But I mean, like there's, sometimes people will do shit and, I might agree with it. I might not, but like somebody will just make an honest mistake and everybody's like cancel them. And it's like, like people make mistakes. Like just because somebody fucks up doesn't mean they should just be like axed.
Yeah.
And it's like like that's the whole point of forgiveness. Like people, I've made my share of mistakes and I fucked up so much that, I'm glad people have forgiven me for a lot of the mistakes that I've made, because, if everybody hung me or executed me for every little mistake, so. But
yeah, you got to kind of grow from your mistakes and stuff. It's
I mean, I've changed as a person. I feel like I'm a better person than I used to be, but I've made my share of mistakes that I had to grow from. I used to have a different look, a different look on things and mentality, and like, but you got to, it's growing not just as an artist, but growing as a person. And that's how we learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, they're pulling up, I know with James Gunn specifically, they pull up tweets from 10 years ago, and it's like,
yeah, no, I mean, I'm familiar with the James Gunn situation, and 10 years ago, what he said, we don't have to get into it, but what he said was not inappropriate 10 years ago.
Yeah,
but I'm sure you could look up, there's probably things that I've said 10 years ago in my music that wouldn't be appropriate now. I mean, I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. But I'm saying, if you look at some of the shit like Eminem said when he first came out, if he came out and said that shit now, they would be crucifying him.
Yeah.
So, just fuck everybody's feelings. Just do happy, and that's what, I mean, I understand there's certain things that, you just can't, certain lines you can't, and barriers you can't cross and talk about. But, but there's a lot of oversensitive people that are getting their fucking feelings hurt for no reason. And some people just need to fucking chill.
It's so funny because it seems like we kind of had that South Park generation where nothing was off limits. And now all of a sudden, everything's off limits. And I'm always hoping that there'll be that swing back, that swing where everything kind of goes the other way again,
I hope it does.
I guess somebody wanted me to ask you about the light situation that happened where he was supposed to be on a track with you guys. I know that you've probably answered this question a bunch of times, but I think if I didn't ask it, somebody,
it doesn't bother me, man. But yeah, I mean, what was the question though? What was he wanting to know?
Just kind of because I know he was supposed to do a track with you guys, and he did it. I guess he recorded it, correct? And then
okay, what happened originally when we did Underground Avengers, the Anomaly '88 album? We had a song called Thanos. That it was us featuring Tech Nine, Twisted, Blaze, Jelly Roll, Crucifix, 'King' ISO, Chris Calico, 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 'King' ISO, Chris Calico I hope I didn't forget anybody, but just
Yeah,
off the top
it's
of my head, you know,
yeah.
that and originally, you know, I had this cool idea, like Light's my homie, and you know, he was on Psychopathic at the time, and you know, I mean, everybody, we don't have to go into what we know what's going down politics between those two labels, whatever, back
Mhm.
in the day, whatever. But
Yeah.
you know, I was like, I think I asked Light, I was like, I got a cool idea. Well, before I even asked Light, I asked George. I said, "Hey, I got a wild idea. I like going against the grain sometimes and doing shit that you know most people probably wouldn't do." I said, "But what do you think about you know if we got Light on this song?" And like the only reason I asked George, I didn't have to have his permission, but you know, considering what was going down between the labels, Twisted was on the song, so obviously George is vested into that, you know, into the song because his artists are on it. And I said, you know, Twisted actually were the first people to even do the verses for that song. Twisted actually were you know, they did their verses first for Thanos. And I just said, hey, what do you think about putting Light on it? And George was like, I don't have a problem. And he was like, honestly, I don't think Paul or Jamie will have a problem. He's like, do it. You know, George didn't care. And, you know, my whole philosophy behind it was we were just trying to show unity in the underground. You know, like we understand that the issues were there that were there, but, you know, we were just like trying to show everybody, like, you know, it's not as bad as, at least we didn't think it was as bad as it
Yeah.
was.
At the
So,
time, yeah.
yeah, so Light was like excited about it. And so Light said he went and asked Rob and Joe, and originally he got their blessings to do it. And when he went to the studio, because you know we were announcing the album, so he asked their permission, and you know, and they told him it was you know it was cool. So we put on the you know on the pre-orders we put Light originally you know his name was listed as on the song, and then when he went to the studio to record the verse, uh, he was basically when he got to the studio, somebody was like, "Hey, that they you know they want to talk to you in the office," and they just basically were like, "You're not doing the song." So, which it what to me would have been cool if they had just said no to begin with, because you know if they just said no to begin with, his name would have never been listed on the pre-order. You
Yeah.
know, on the site. So nobody would have even known it was a thing. You know, just okay, cool, we get it. You know, we understand. But what made the whole thing so much turmoil was that they told him yes, and then we announced his name on it, but then they said no. So then you know then we pulled his name off the pre-order, and then people noticed it immediately. Like we never made an announcement. We never said Light is not going to be on it, but
Yeah.
people saw his name taken off the website and they're like, hey, how come his name's not on there now? So people started talking and questions you know were asked, and you know just he you know he was signed to a label, and you know they just didn't want him to do it. What you know cool. It didn't affect you know me and Light's relationship. Me and you know me and Light's cool. And then after the fact, you know, he ended up doing the verse anyway, which we dropped. You know, it was a remix called
Mhm.
Galactus, which you know, so the verse came out, but you know that was you know that's the extent of it. You
Yeah.
know, I never had any bad blood with anybody over it. You know, I understand if you're signed to a label and they ask something of you, you know you got to do what you got to do. So you know, I got it.
Yeah, and you even did the gathering after that, right?
No,
No,
no.
that was before. Okay, so that was after the gathering recently, right?
Yeah, yeah. When the gathering, when underground, when Magic Ninja announced that Underground Avengers was coming out, you know, through M&E, uh, basically, you know, I was just told that that they're not working with any artists that are working with M&E. So, that's basically why I wasn't invited to do the gathering that year.
Yeah, so you had a very similar experience that AXE had, because AXE had done a number of gatherings, and then like as soon as they're signed with MNE, it was kind of like a banishment, if you will, if you will, from doing another gathering.
I think I had done 6 or 7 gatherings in a row up until that point. And then, I just came off the heels of doing the Juggalo March in Washington. And, I mean, doing the UGA thing with M&E, I never thought Psychopathic would think anything weird. Like, I've had a great relationship with them for a long time. So I didn't think I was like stirring the pot or anything. I just thought,
well, it was like you said earlier, like you do what you do, and if people don't like it, oh well. And kind of another example of that, where
I mean, it's their show, it's their festival. I mean, they have the, that's their privilege to work with who they want to or who they don't want to, and I respect that. But I was obviously looking forward to doing the gathering, but shit happens, and you push on and you make the best of what's left.
Yeah. So if you guys
I've got no ill will toward them. Like, I understand business is business, and they gotta make the best decisions for their label and what they're doing. I get it, and so we just do what we do.
I've always been curious about that. Like I don't want you to get into details about your deal with MNE, but how that deal worked with MNE with UGA, because obviously you do your own stuff with Mob Style, but then I think they also sold like Paradigm Shift on the MNE store, I think, for a little bit, and it's a lot of crossover. Is that just them kind of doing a favor for you, or how does that relationship with MNE work?
At the end of the day, I mean, we're making money together. I mean, for example, like Paradigm Shift, it didn't have anything to do with M&E, but but the fact that them selling it on their site as well, like it wasn't just Paradigm Shift. They did the Helter Skelter box set. They did the Weirdo Pale Moon. I mean, there were several projects that M&E were selling, on their store, and it's me expanding Mob Style and expanding what I'm doing, and M&E is helping. They were helping distribute a lot of my stuff, and they're obviously it was in their best interest, that they were making something off of it too, and it's just like, I'm not signed to M&E. But I've got a very good working relationship with George and everybody over there. Like, all their artists over there are my homies. I mean, all of the artists, I'm friends with all of those guys, and we do a lot of stuff together. We do a lot of business moves, and it just makes sense to do business with homies. I've never had an issue with money with them or nothing. Like, we've never bumped heads one time. I've never had an argument with George or Paul or Jamie or any of those guys. I mean, Zool, Bill and Lee and Joe. I mean, they're my homies. I mean, everybody over there, ROC, Blaze. I mean, Lex, Lex the Hexmaster is a very good friend of mine. We talk all the time, we talk all the time, and I'm just friends with all those guys over there. And,
pretty much everybody that's signed to MNE are really, really chill. Like, all of them. There's really nobody over there that's kind of, kind of crazy, I guess. I don't know, I have another word for it, but they're all really chill, really down to earth guys.
Yeah, I mean, just we all have a work. We have working relationships, but we also all have respect for each other. Respect, not the label thing, just as an artist. We all have artist respect for each other, and it's I've just got along personally and work wise with all of those people over there. So
Yeah. So you brought up mob style music. Do you ever see yourself signing an artist to mob style or expanding it at all?
I've went back and forth with the idea. Back in the day, there were actually several artists signed to Mob Style, and we're all still friends. We all still get along and still communicate, but it just didn't work. And it was not a bad situation, but just in the end, it just didn't work. I'm blessed that I still have a good personable relationship with all the artists who were on Mob Style before. We're all still friends and everything was cool, but it just didn't work. Am I opposed to the idea? No. If the right situation came along, I would work with another artist and possibly sign them, but just the right situation hasn't presented itself. But no, I'm not opposed to doing it, but it would just have to be like the perfect situation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now I heard you're a big like CD collector.
Yeah.
So how long have you been collecting for?
I've been collecting CDs for like probably 25 years. I guess I've got almost 7,000 rap CDs in my collection.
So you got those all like in the man cave you got down there?
They're all in cases, yeah.
So there's a legend. I don't know if it's an urban legend that was actually just discussed yesterday here in the alley.
Oh yeah.
That you have an OG copy of Head of Horns sealed that you purchased from Billy Obey.
That is true.
Is that true? Now,
Bill's last copy.
That's part of the legend. Okay. Now, are you willing to divulge how much you paid for that copy or not? If not, that's fine. But there's a legend of the price tag, and us being collectors and stuff, we try to price things, and we're like, eh.
Bill and I when I went out to the church, Bill and I had to arm wrestle with a piece of Kentucky Fried Chicken, and each one of us each had a piece of chicken, and we had to arm wrestle with Joey Black as the referee. We had to arm wrestle. It was actually getting ready to beat me, but Lee Carver tickled him, and I won at the last second. So it was done with chicken in our mouths, and we had to cheat for me to get
it. That's how much you guys got to pay for a OG copy of Head of Horns.
Yeah,
it's an arm wrestling match with chicken.
But if I had to arm wrestle Bill legit, I couldn't beat him. He's too powerful.
He's got the power of a million men.
He has the force of Zool behind him. So I had to cheat to win, and I had to give Lee and Joe a couple extra pieces of chicken because they helped me. I got Bill's last sealed copy, and it looks like just taken out of the box. It's pristine.
Wow. Yeah,
I've been offered ludicrous money for it, but it means too much to me. The fact, Bill's a piece of shit. Only Bill gets that. Bill's a piece of shit, but actually he's a super awesome guy, and he's a good friend of mine. And the fact that it came from Bill, was important, and that CD does mean a lot to me. And I'm a fan of Zool. I think all the Zool Elu are awesome, and we've done a few tracks together. But I'm a fan of what they do, and have that copy. Any Zool fan that collects knows how hard it is to find that CD, but a sealed one, that's
yeah. Not to mention, when you're a collector, a lot of times you don't sell stuff, period. Like, even if you have it and somebody offers you a lot, there's a lot of stuff I wouldn't sell. I don't care how much you offer me. You know, it's in the collection. That's where it's going to stay, unless I get some absolutely ludicrous offer. But
Well, I'll tell you this: I'm not going to say who offered it to me, but I've been offered $1,000 for that CD.
yeah, that's pretty much the some estimates that I've heard is like 1,500 for a copy not open, which is crazy to me. I mean, even though I'm a collector, $1,000 for a CD still seems kind of crazy. But
I think the most I've ever paid for a CD, the most I've ever sold a CD for was 1,100. I'm trying to. I think probably the most I've ever spent on a CD was probably 1,000. I've spent $1,000 on a CD before.
What was the album you sold for 1,100?
It was actually a Carnival of Carnage reverse.
Mm.
CD. The colors were reversed. It's a very, very, very hard CD to find. But yeah, that was that was the most expensive CD I've ever sold.
Man, I heard you sold some of your collection recently on the museum or on Traders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just some pieces of it. I'm still a CD collector. I still collect a lot, but I just sold a portion of it.
What's the rarest one you think you got?
Rare CD I own.
Yeah.
I've got a Ghetto Boys sealed in the long box, grip it on that other level, which is very hard to find. I've got the Ice-T Body Count sealed in the long box that has the Cop Killer song on it that was banned. I actually tweeted a picture of that one time to Ice-T, and he was just like, "Wow, I know that thing's worth some bucks." Off the top of my head, those two are probably two of the rarest and hardest ones to find. I mean, I've got a lot. I've got so much. I've got a sealed Dr. Dre The Chronic in the long box. You know, I've actually been offered, which I didn't sell it. I've been offered 1,500 for that. Yeah, it's a day one. It's a day one. Dr. Dre The Chronic.
1,500. Well, it was like I was saying, like when you're a collector, you know, it's like there are certain things just like always hang on to it for the collection.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it would be one thing if, like, I don't know, if I was like needed the money, or if I was sick or homeless, or my kid was sick. You know, that's a different story. But like, you know, I'm not really moved by money a whole lot. So, you know, it would take a act of God or something crazy for me to like sell. You know, it is, as much as my CD collecting is a huge part of my, you know, life. I mean, like, toy collecting is even bigger than that. You know, I've got a gigantic, enormous toy collection.
I've seen some pictures of your Transformers and stuff. So
yeah, I've got, you know, majority of my toy collection is sealed. So, you know, I still do collect CDs and buy CDs, but I'd say right now my number one hobby is collecting, you know, toys.
So you still buying stuff then? Still buying toys and stuff then? Or are you like mostly collecting like the older stuff, or you go for the new stuff too?
Both.
Yeah.
I've just got, I mean, it's all Star Wars, Transformers, and G.I. Joe, you know, mainly. But I've got ungodly amounts of it. It's gotten out of control. So
yeah, I've seen like parts of your man cave. It's pretty crazy, like that.
And what's even crazier is I have more than what you see in the man cave. Like, I just don't have room to display everything. So that makes it hard. You know, I've got a storage unit full of totes. I've got closets here full of totes, and I keep everything in totes to, you know, like, just in case if there was ever a flood or, you know, anything like that. You know, I try to keep everything like, if, you know, water damage or, you know, anything. But I'm probably going to have to get a bigger house, because, you know, it sucks like buying all these cool toys and I can't display them. I've already got like 4 gigantic curio cabinets down here full of stuff, and I've got things on shelves, and it's crazy what I've got. But yeah, I'm probably gonna have to like buy a museum, like and turn it into a toy museum.
You could put all like your limited Buckshot merchandise in there too.
I've
You got
got
old like you got like old stuff from earlier in your career, like old
oh yeah,
like first copies of your CDs and stuff like that.
I keep everything. Yeah, I've got everything I've ever put out, including features on other people's albums. I keep an open and a sealed copy at least of everything I've done. I'd say majority of my older stuff, I have probably 4 or 5 copies of everything put away in a box. So yeah, I collect my own stuff as well. Obviously I'm proud of it. So
Yeah, no, what you're saying is like the hardest part of collecting is finding a way to display it all. It's
yeah,
always especially because I've got like a mass collection, and it's like, how do I display all these in a decent manner? You got to
yeah.
get those fake heads and put them on the wall. I've seen it's just always trying to find a way to display that stuff. It's
I'll,
the
I'll
biggest pain.
I'll literally spend hours. I'll just like walk around my basement and thinking, how else can I make room? What else can I do to maximize? And just I can't. It's like full. Well, I mean, without it looking stupid.
Yeah. Without just piles of toys standing over there and over here and
Right.
stuff.
And because I mean I've got a studio in my basement, and I'm in my studio now, but the studio takes up a big portion of the basement, and it's this is a pretty cool, I call it the mob cave, but this is the whole entire basement is it's a pretty cool it's a pretty cool place to have everything, all my toys, all my studio, everything down here.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you had your own studio, so I guess you do have it right there in your basement then.
Yeah, I'm actually sitting at my studio table right now.
Nice. Yeah, actually, the way I see your room right now, it actually does remind me of like the church. You've been to the church before. I mean, he's changing it all the freaking time, but he also has all the posters on the wall, got the giant banners hanging up and everything.
Oh yeah, the church is awesome. Like the way
Yeah.
it's set up here. Let me pick my phone up.
Get a little peek at the studio here.
But like that's the studio door.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And like that's this is my studio desk that I'm at.
All right.
So,
is that your CD collection there in the next room? It looks like.
Yeah. Here, I'll flip on a light real quick and let you get a
little peek at the studio here, guys. Wow.
So.
Woo. That's a lot of CD. Oh, keeps going.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's pretty intense collection.
Oh yeah, I see your Paradigm Shift box set up there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for that little sneak peek of the studio there. So, what do you? Is there anything you can say you got planned for next year? I know you said you got a lot coming up. Do you know about how many projects you got lined up?
Well, as crazy as this sounds, I can't really announce any of them yet because a lot of them are going to be secret projects. I'm working with a few people this year. I am dropping a solo Bukshot, a whole Bukshot album is coming out this year. But I'm doing a few collaboration projects with some new people.
Okay.
So, obviously to set the whole thing off, me and Kung Fu got Double Dragon coming out, but I've got some really cool surprises in store this year that I don't think anybody's going to be prepared for.
So you got some full collab albums coming out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the whole year is basically already booked up. I'm looking right now. It's looking like 5 projects dropping this year.
It works pretty good. Every couple months, drop something new.
Yeah, basically that's, hopefully nothing gets derailed, and the other artists that I'm talking to and working with, it's some brand new people, not people you all are not familiar with, but just not people I've done projects with before. But we got some really dope stuff in the works. I'm very excited about. Like they're already the ball is already rolling with it. Like we've already started recording. So yeah, this year is gonna be my most challenging year that I've done yet.
Challenging and challenging in what way?
Dropping this much stuff and the magnitude, because like when I drop a project, it's not just dropping a project. There's always like a big rollout to it.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, here's 10 songs. Like there's always some cool element to it. That's not just, there's just always a catch with it. So I've got some really,
well, like we were saying with your pre-order bundles, there's always a lot of stuff in those. So I imagine with all these other ones coming up, you're going to have a lot of interesting pre-order bundles as well.
Oh yeah, but like I said, the whole year is already planned out, and I promise you, everything we're doing this year will be the coolest shit you've ever seen come from Mob Style. It's good. It's very it's just good. Everybody's gonna love it.
Dope.
We put a lot of thought process into everything we do. We don't just my whole philosophy is not just put out random whatever. Like it's every CD, every shirt, that there's a thought process behind it. It's not just, for me, it's not random. It might appear random to some people, but like nothing we do is just random. It's everything has like its own thought process behind it. So we're just always thinking, what can we do bigger and better that we haven't done yet? And we keep trying to outdo ourselves on every project. And fortunately, I haven't hit a wall yet. So I'm trying to, hopefully I can keep putting out the good quality stuff that, that we've been. That's the whole plan anyway.
Have you ever thought about doing a Buck Norris album?
Oh yeah.
Because that would be fun.
Well, technically, if you look at the artwork of Double Dragon, if you look at the front of the CD, it says Buck Norris and Kung Fu. So I mean, technically, Double Dragon is like the first appearance of Buck Norris, technically. So
yeah, we need like a Walker Texas Buckshot album or something.
I promise you all that there's more Buck Norris coming.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be the next question. Hopefully, we get more Buck Norris in 2021.
Far from being over. So that Buck Norris was a really cool alter ego that, after NetFest came out, I can't even imagine to tell you how many messages and direct messages and tweets and Facebook, everybody they loved it though. They're like, where did you come up with that whole Buck Norris thing? So, yeah, there's you're definitely going to see some more Buck Norris in the future for sure.
Did you see like an uptick in fans after that hit?
Yeah.
Like more followers, more sales, more stuff like that? Because
yeah, people loved it. Like they just thought it was, because I've never done anything like that. And a lot of people think I'm like a very over serious person. And like, I'm actually not. I mean, I'm serious in some aspects, but like, like pulling the prank with the Double Dragon thing. Like, anybody who knows me knows like I'm a jokester, like I'm constantly pranking and trolling people and, like being goofy. And, a lot of people, I guess like I have like if I'm not smiling, if somebody sees me, they just like take me like for an asshole. Like a happy looking person when I have my normal face on, but no, I'm actually all about clowning around and joking with people and having fun. Until you piss me off, then
then you get the buck slap.
Right. The buck slap is real, I promise.
Well, I think that's a good point to leave it off at. Thanks, Buckshot, for coming on. It was fun talking with you. Thanks for giving us the little mini tour of the studio. Double Dragon is out for pre-order right now on Mob Style Music. Yes. He's got 2 bundles. The one bundle is crazy. It's got a whole bunch of stuff: shirt, jersey, a cool little NES stash box that you'll want to get. Do you want to plug anything else, Buck?
Yeah, well, just, I appreciate you having me on. Shout out to all the Zooligans. Shout out to Billy Obey, you piece of shit. You're probably, but somebody will tell you that I said you're a piece of shit. Lee Carver, shout out to Joey Black, all the Zooligans, man. I love what you all are doing. I've got some Axe merch. I've got all their CDs. I Axe are my boys, man. Like, I love your all's movement, what you're doing, and let's have a kick-ass 2021.
Hell yeah, man. Perfect way to kick off 2021. Thanks everybody for showing out. Thanks again, Buckshot, for coming out. You guys go pre-order Double Dragon. It's gonna be a dope project. Buck, Vampire, Kung Fu Vampire. It's out with the 29th, right?
The pre-orders are up now, and they ship out on the 22nd. But in all honesty, like, all the stuff is back. The only thing that we're waiting on is the actual CDs. They've already shipped. They will be here on Monday. So, like, the CDs and the hat pins are the only thing we're waiting on, and they'll both be here next week. So technically it could ship a little sooner, but we just went ahead and said it ships on I think it's the 22nd that we're saying it ships, but it'll probably ship a little sooner. But we don't like to say that because, if you're one day late, you got that person saying, "Where's my shit? It was supposed to ship yesterday." So we wanted to make sure everything, but the jerseys are here, the box, the Nintendo box. I mean, everything is back, but the CDs and the hat pins, and they are set to be here on Monday and I think Wednesday. So we'll have everything next week, but we're just giving time. The 8-bit box set's a little pricey. I mean, it's $180, but if you purchased everything separately, it would be like $275. Like, it's
there's a jersey, a shirt, like a whole bunch of stuff in that box set.
But we went ahead and gave it a later release date so we could give people time to get their money together, and that way, everybody kind of gets it at the same time. So we're excited about it. It's really everything that comes in the box, and the album is awesome. We got Ritz is on the album, Boondocks is on the album, Demi's on it, David Ray's on it. It's Seven did production on it, a lot of production on it. Godsent, Chaotic, Don Arias, Diesel Beats. I mean, there's some awesome production, awesome tracks. It was mixed by Rob Rebeck, which he's done a ton of Tech Nine stuff. I mean, it's a great sounding project. We're very Young Wicked. I don't want to forget Otis. Young Wicked produced the single "Don't Get Beat Up."
Oh yeah. You can listen to that, guys. Now they got the lyric video out.
But so we're just excited about the project. We know it's good, and we're excited to see your all's reactions when you all get to listen to it. And shout out to Empire.
Yeah,
you're watching this.
All right, like I said, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Luke Newcomb, Buck Norris, Buckshot. And I will see you guys, I think, next week. Next week we're going to have Brendan Philbrick from Gravity Bleeds. So awesome. I'll see you guys later.
All right, guys. Here.